A rainy afternoon at the library. It was a quiet, rainy Saturday afternoon, and Emma had planned to spend the day at home. However, as the rain drummed softly against her window, she felt a sudden desire to go to the library. The thought of curling up with a good book in a cozy, warm space was too tempting to resist. She grabbed her umbrella, slipped on her raincoat, and headed out. The streets were quiet, with only a few people walking under their umbrellas, avoiding puddles as they made their way through the city. Emma didn't mind the rain. In fact, she enjoyed the sound of it and the way it made the world feel calm and peaceful. The library was only a 15-minute walk from her apartment, and she always found the stroll enjoyable, even on a rainy day like today. As she reached the library, she shook the raindrops from her umbrella and stepped inside. The moment she entered, she was greeted by the familiar scent of old books and the soft sound of pages turning. The library was one of her favorite places to go when she wanted to escape the busy world outside. It was quiet, comforting, and always full of interesting things to read. Emma made her way through the shelves, running her fingers along the spines of the books. She loved how each book held a story waiting to be discovered. After wandering for a few minutes, she found a small table near the window, where she could hear the rain gently tapping against the glass. She took off her coat and sat down, setting her bag on the chair beside her. Before she started reading, Emma decided to take a quick look around the library. It was fairly empty today, probably because of the weather. A few people sat at tables with their laptops, typing away quietly. Others were browsing through bookshelves, lost in their own world. In one corner, a young man was reading to a child, his voice soft and soothing, while the little girl listened with wide eyes. The atmosphere was peaceful, the perfect place to spend a rainy afternoon. Emma stood up and walked over to the fiction section. She had been meaning to read a mystery novel, so she scanned the titles carefully, looking for something intriguing. After a few minutes of searching, she picked up a book called The Silent Clue. The cover showed an old house surrounded by fog, and the description on the back promised a thrilling mystery filled with twists and surprises. It was exactly what she was in the mood for. She returned to her table by the window, opened the book, and began to read. The story pulled her in immediately. It was about a detective trying to solve a decades-old case involving a missing person and a mysterious letter that had just been discovered. Emma lost track of time as she turned the pages, completely absorbed in the plot. Every now and then, she glanced out the window, watching the rain fall steadily, but quickly returned to the gripping story in her hands. After reading for about an hour, Emma realized she was getting a bit hungry. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small snack she had packed earlier, a granola bar and an apple. As she ate, she thought about the book she was reading and tried to guess who the culprit might be. The clues were carefully hidden, and the author kept her guessing, which made the story even more exciting. Once she finished her snack, Emma decided to stretch her legs. She left the book on the table and took a short walk around the library. She wandered through the different sections, nonfiction, history, biographies, before stopping at the children's area. She always liked looking at the colorful picture books and watching how excited kids got when they found a story they loved. Today, there were only a few children around, quietly sitting on bean bags or playing with puzzles. As she passed by the circulation desk, Emma noticed a sign advertising a book club meeting happening later in the week. She had been thinking about joining a book club for a while, but hadn't found the time. The sign mentioned that the group would be discussing The Silent Clue, the very book she had just started reading. Emma smiled to herself, thinking it might be fun to join the discussion once she finished the book. She returned to her table and resumed reading, diving back into the mystery. The rain continued to fall outside, but inside the library, everything was warm and peaceful. Emma felt completely relaxed, enjoying the simple pleasure of getting lost in a good book. As the story unfolded, she felt as if she were right there with the characters, solving the case alongside the detective. Around 4 p.m., the rain finally started to let up. The sound of raindrops hitting the window became softer, and the clouds began to break apart, letting a little sunlight through. Emma glanced up from her book and noticed that the library had filled up a bit more. People were coming in to escape the last bit of rain, and the quiet hum of voices made the space feel even cozier. Emma looked at her watch and realized she had spent most of the afternoon in the library without even noticing the time. She had made good progress in the book, and the mystery was becoming more intense. But it was getting late, and she needed to head home. She stood up, stretched her arms, and placed the silent clue back on the shelf. She would come back to finish it another day. As she walked out of the library, the air smelled fresh and clean after the rain. The streets were still wet, but the sun was beginning to shine through the clouds, casting a soft, golden light over the city. Emma felt content, knowing she had spent her afternoon exactly as she had wanted, relaxed and completely absorbed in a great story. She couldn't wait to return to the library next weekend to finish the book and maybe even join that book club. Vocabulary. Drummed, verb, to make a continuous tapping or beating sound, like rain hitting a surface. Example, the rain drummed softly against her window. Desire, noun, a strong feeling of wanting something. Example, she felt a sudden desire to go to the library. Curl up, phrasal verb, to sit or lie in a comfortable, rounded position. Example, she thought of curling up with a good book. Resist, verb, to stop yourself from doing something you want to do. Example, the thought was too tempting to resist. Puddles, noun, small pools of water, usually formed after rain. Example, she avoided the puddles on the way to the library. Stroll, verb, to walk in a slow, relaxed way. Example, Emma enjoyed the stroll to the library, even in the rain. Wander, verb, to walk around without a specific direction or purpose. Example, she wandered through the shelves, searching for a book. Intriguing, adjective, something that is very interesting and captures your attention. Example, she found the title intriguing and decided to pick up the book. Decades old, adjective, something that is many decades, 10-year periods, old. Example, the mystery involved a decades-old case. Absorbed, adjective, deeply involved or interested in something, so much that you forget about everything else. Example, she became absorbed in the gripping story. Gripping, adjective, very exciting and holding your attention completely. Example, the book had a gripping plot that kept her attention. Culprit, noun, the person responsible for a crime or wrongdoing. Example, she tried to guess who the culprit was. Unfolded, verb, to gradually become clear or revealed over time. Example, the mystery unfolded slowly, revealing new clues. Intense, adjective, very strong or extreme in force, feeling, or degree. Example, the suspense became more intense as the story progressed.